my channel and welcome to Story Time with Nikki. As most of you guys know, we do turn up on Friday here on my channel, so I hope you guys are excited. I hope y'all are ready with your wine and your snacks and your whole arsenal of things that you love. Today's story time is going to be a little bit different, but it's something that I've been getting request after request after request for, which is my labor and delivery story time about when I gave birth to my son Ezra about 7 months ago. I hope you guys are excited to hear the story. I'm excited to tell you guys I'm a little bit nervous because, you know, it was labor and delivery. It was a lot of pain, girl. This is how my beautiful, gorgeous, amazing son came into this world, so I hope you guys are ready to hear this story time. I also have some footage that we took when I was going into labor at the end of this video, so make sure you stick around for that. Every time I watch it, I feel like I'm feeling the contractions all over again. Like, watching myself in pain, it's just like, oh, girl. Before we get into today's story time, if you are not subscribed to my channel, make sure you do so. You don't want to miss out on any story times. While you're down there, hit that notification bell so you're not missing out on story times, Ask Nikki's, and some random videos I put up every week. As usual, before we get into today's story, we are going to go over our glamour shot of the day, and I received a DM from one of my glamazons on Instagram, and her name is Brenda. Hey, girl. My husband is a big fan of your story times, so much that we stay home on the weekends and do a marathon on them all. Can you please make him one of your glam fan guys? Please. So she sent me this picture of her and her man. She did not let me know his name. Y'all mamas out there know exactly what that intro was. So this is my girl Brenda and her mans. Thank you so much, you guys, for loving me and supporting me. And I really love a man that can just support their girl and what they're interested in, and the fact that he watches my videos with you and he supports you and he knows that we're all just crazy up in here. I love to hear that my glamazons are with dudes like that. I love to hear that my glamazons are being loved and adored like that. Thank you so much for both of y'all's love and support. You guys know that I would not be here without you, and I could not do this without each and every one of you guys. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for like just supporting your girl and her watching Crazy Nikki. Thank you. Now let's get into this video, girl. I'm gonna split it up into trimesters, all right? So let's start out with the first trimester. My first trimester was really hard, okay? I was sick every single day. I was throwing up every single day, all day. I could not keep anything down. You know those like noodle packs? They're like the Korean noodle packs that you can find at the grocery store, and they have like this teriyaki sauce. For some reason, that was the only thing that I could keep down for weeks. So like that was basically all I was eating because Ezra was just not playing it. Everything that I tried to eat, you guys, Also with my first trimester, I was completely useless. I could not get myself up out of bed hardly, and I just like not even to like shower, you guys. I had talked about this quite a bit like on my Snapchat, my Instagram at the time, that I was just so exhausted all the time. When you're pregnant, like everything changes. So this was like the beginning of me seeing the changes not only in myself but in my body as well, and I had no control over my body. You will not have any control over your body. Your child has control over your entire body, even this early on in pregnancy. Now keep in mind, throughout all this, my first trimester, I was also planning my wedding because I did find out that I was pregnant a few days after Christmas. My wedding was in March, so I just had to power through it, y'all, and like go to my appointments and go to my dress fittings and go to my production meetings at the venue and all that, like just feeling like shit. And then all of a sudden, like your skin starts changing. Like my skin is usually dry, but y'all, when I tell you it was dry, first trimester, y'all. Ooh, it almost took me out. That was my first trimester. It was all a sick, nauseous blur, okay? I'm here to be real with y'all. Fast forward, second trimester, and I will say it did get easier for me. The nausea starts to subside, and it's not all at once. It just like gradually you can start eating more, and it's not even about just what you're eating, it's about what you smell. I don't know why. We gain almost like superhero senses, okay? Where like we can smell everything. Like we can smell you from like 10,000 miles away. At this time, we had already gotten married, and I was actually going to Turks and Caicos for my honeymoon. Your girl couldn't drink. I couldn't do any like explorations or get on any like jet skis, y'all. I was very low-key sad. You know, it's so beautiful what I'm doing with my body right now, and I'm making a baby, yes, but like I'm in Turks and Caicos, and I would love to just like have fun. And keep in mind, you guys, I wasn't pregnant when we made these honeymoon plans, so this was just all out of nowhere. Ezra was not about me at all. Like I could not even like be around meat. If I smelled it, I wanted to throw up all over myself. Like and it was that way my entire pregnancy. The only meat that I was able to eat towards the end was chicken, but other than that, like steaks, red meat, get it out of my face, I will throw up on you. Felt like I was carrying a wet blanket on me all the time. If I knew that I had to go somewhere and leave my house, oh my God, kill me now. It was just so overwhelming, and I'm usually not like that. I'm such a busybody. I will be all up and through these streets, okay? But when I was pregnant, overall, I had a really great time on our honeymoon, and David's so sweet. He really didn't drink that much. He didn't want me to feel left out, and I was like pushing him. I was like, party for me, like let me live vicariously through you. I was like trying to feed him drinks, and he was like, no, like I just don't want to, like I feel so bad. And I was like, no, please, like one of us has to go a little cray. My second trimester was a hell of a lot easier than my first trimester. Now, for the most part, I was pretty tiny. Like the way that I was carrying Ezra, I didn't really get that big. Throughout my pregnancy, I didn't really have a whole lot of discomfort when it came to like, you know, how I was carrying him or my back or anything until my third trimester. So I would say, in my opinion and in my experience, the first and the third trimester for me were really, really hard. So the first trimester was really hard because I was sick and tired all the time. The third trimester was really hard because this is when all of the physical pain started coming into play. The way that I carried Ezra, people couldn't really tell that I was pregnant until, I mean, maybe 6 months because of how little he was. I didn't start experiencing like full on like back pain, rib pain, hip pain, y'all, everything until the third trimester, and he was getting so big. He hit probably like 5 pounds, and I was dying. So through most of my pregnancy, I slept on my side until this baby got very, very heavy. He was so heavy that I was like sinking down into the mattress. The mattress felt like it was made out of knives, okay, that were just sticking me right in the hip, and my hips hurt so bad. And I would wake up and like my hips and my ribs would hurt so bad. So I had to buy one of those foam toppers for my bed so that I could sleep. There's like a lot of different things that you have to buy and invest in to accommodate your needs, because your needs change as your pregnancy goes on. Like the little wedge pillow to put under your stomach when you're sleeping, or like a, you know, a mattress topper, things like that that I just didn't expect. I didn't even think about, and I didn't think that it would apply to me, and I didn't think I was gonna need it, but I did. If you guys are interested in a video of like some of the things that I found that I needed that I wasn't really aware that I was going to, let me know down below. I definitely will make it, because there were a few things that I was like, wow, people were telling me that I was gonna need this and I did not believe them, but I need it, and a mattress topper was one of them. So fast forward, I was probably like 3 weeks away from giving birth, right? So I'm like the home stretch, and y'all, I am so ready by this point. Like by the time you're in your 9 months, your 8.5, 9 months, you are just ready. Your body's ready, like you're just ready. I wasn't going to sleep, I know for sure, until like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning every single night, because my child was like on a whole different schedule, and he would sleep all day, and like, you know, I would feel him move every now and then, but this boy would start doing like acrobatics at night, and I would just be in bed trying to mind my business, trying to go to sleep, and he would be in there just acting a fool, so mommy was up, right? As you get closer to your delivery date, which for me was August 30th, your doctors will ask you to start coming in once a week, make sure you're doing okay, right? So I'm like going to these doctor's appointments every week to make sure everything's okay, and every time I go in, they're like, yeah, you know, it looks like we're on track for an August 30th delivery. What I learned during my pregnancy was that while you're pregnant and as your pregnancy goes on, you want your baby to start turning head down, because that's how they have to be positioned in order to be delivered, right? Ezra was like on top of it, okay? Literally by 6 months, he was already facing the right way. He was already head down. My nurses and my doctor were really, really happy about that, because they were like, this is gonna be easier for you. It's easier if he's already in the right position. You know, he's already ready. So as I was getting closer to my delivery date, my nurses and my doctor, they just had very high hopes, and they were like, you're gonna have a great, wonderful, easy delivery. When you're pregnant, so many people come out the woodwork with their wisdom, with their opinion, with their stories of how it happened for them, right? And they tell you these things not to just, they're not trying to be annoying. They really are just trying to help you. But so many moms told me, your first child is not going to be here on time. Like every single mom I had talked to, including my own mother, told me that their first baby actually came either on time or a little later. It's really difficult for your first child because your body is doing this for the first time, you know? And then I heard, you know, second, third, and fourth time around, it just kind of gets easier, right? Fast forward to the week that I was expecting Ezra, right? And he's just like moving, you guys, he's growing. During my third trimester was the first time that I saw a few stretch marks forming, and like my heart broke just a tiny bit. And it's during this time that you just really embrace being and becoming a mom, because like you just see your body in a whole different way, and what once mattered no longer matters, you know? Now Ezra carried really low, like you guys, from jump, okay? He never was high up ever. Like he'd kind of be around the mid area during the day, but as the day went on, he would just fall lower and lower between my hips. And Ezra, you guys, pay attention to what your baby is doing inside, because you can feel everything. Every mom knows this. In my experience, my son is exactly the way that I imagined based on his actions and the way that he was acting in my womb, okay? And let me explain. Ezra had a way of controlling me from the inside. And when I tell you, if this little baby did not want me walking around anymore, if he wanted me to sit down or lay down or stop moving because he wanted to sleep, because like I said, he would sleep during the day. If I was doing too much and he wanted me to sit down, I literally could feel my child lowering himself in between my hips, and he would lower and lower and lower until I literally could not walk anymore, because all of his weight would be right in the middle of my hips. Like I felt like my legs couldn't do this because he was just like right there. And he would do that every single time I was like trying to get something done, or if I was walking around a store or whatever. If he wanted me to sit down, I was gonna sit down, and if I didn't sit down, he was gonna make me sit down. I knew my baby was gonna be stubborn before he was even here because of the way he was acting while I was pregnant. And I'm telling you, exact same. About 3 days before my delivery date, I wanted to make sure that my toes were done, okay? Like I just didn't want to be caught off guard and my toes were looking all kinds of crazy. And I was like, you know what? I need to go get a pedicure. There are very, very few things that you can really enjoy while you're pregnant, especially during your third trimester, because people have to be gentle with you. You can't just go get any regular massage. You have to get like a maternity massage, and everything's different, and everything, you know, a lot of things are off limits for you, but one of the things that you can do no matter what is get a pedicure. My toes were looking a little crazy, and I was like, you know, my baby's gonna be here, you know, within days, so I should probably get this fixed. I made my appointment at one of my favorite pedicure spots, and I go in, and I just remember, you guys, like when you're that pregnant, it's like when you go anywhere, people are nervous for you. Like they're like, oh my God, like are you gonna go into labor right now? I just remember going in there, and like so many women were like staring at me, like, and not like, oh, you're so beautiful, but like, oh my God. Got my toes done, everything was fine, I was feeling normal, and I just, of course, I was having my usual pain. I'm gonna tell you right now, at least for me, it was this way, but like the weeks leading up to delivery, I was just in pain every single day, and I just kind of got used to it. I come home, everything's normal, you know, I got my toes done, I feel good for the most part. Me going to get my toes done was a huge thing for me, and it took a lot out of me. So by the time I came home, I was tired. I just wanted to lay down. Ezra was doing his thing again where he's like trying to make me sit down, and so like I came home, I took the L, and I laid down in my bed, right? Meanwhile, my mom keeps like passing by my door in my room, and she's like, hey, have you packed? And she was meaning my hospital bag, and I was like, no, but I will. And I was like laying in bed, I was like, I'm just so tired right now. And she was like, well, do you want me to pack for you? And I was like, no, like, and I kept telling her no, because I was like, I'm going to film it. I'm going to film what I'm going to be packing in my hospital bag for a video. So no, mommy, I got it. I'll pack it. And I just was useless, you guys. There was no, but I was like dead set on it. I was like, I don't want to miss out on that content. Like, don't nobody pack my bag for me, because I'm going to pack it and I'm going to film it. It's going to happen, right? So I keep like letting the days go on. Nighttime rolls around, right? And sure enough, around midnight, I start feeling Mr. Ezra. He's like doing his use, right? 1, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning passes by, and then around 4 o'clock, I start feeling weird, and I have to pee every 5 seconds usually anyway. I remember getting up and I had to pee really bad, and that was like as per usual, because your baby is just bouncing on your bladder like a trampoline. On my way back from going to the restroom, I like walked over to our bed, and I just felt cramps. I felt like period cramps. Y'all know the cramps, okay? Like I said, around this time, I mean, there are like Braxton Hicks contractions, which is like false labor, and then you just have cramps. Your body's just like in pain all the time. So I remember going back to the bed and I felt these cramps, but honestly, I was like, I have felt cramps like this before. And like my doctor and my nurses, they kept telling me, these are the signs of true contractions. These are the signs of Braxton Hicks or false labor. I didn't want to like get to the hospital and then I'm not really in labor and then be sent home. Like I did not want to have to go through that. And I like climbed back into bed and I just kind of sat there and I was like, oh, they'll go away. One big thing that stuck in my head that one of my nurses had told me was, you'll know it's contractions, true contractions, because you won't be able to talk while the contraction's happening. If you're able to speak, it may not really be a contraction. Does that make sense? That's how she told me that I could identify it, was that like true contractions take your breath away. Like you will not be able to get a word out when you're going through a contraction. So I'm in bed, right? And I'm feeling these cramps and literally, you guys, I'm going like this. I can still talk though. There was no cause for alarm, like nothing, right? But because I was like experiencing cramps and like my lower back was hurting and like you're always just so uncomfortable when you're that pregnant. And so I kept like readjusting myself in the bed and I'm like, you know, I would feel the cramps and I'd be like, ow, you know? And so I'm like moving around trying to find a comfortable spot. And David woke up and he, you know, he was asleep. He could not stay up like me. So he was asleep and he feels me like fidgeting like that. And he wakes up and he looks over and he's like, babe, are you okay? Sitting there, I was like, yeah, you know, these cramps just won't go away. You know, I'm fine. I'm just cramping a little. And you guys, like, he was like laying on the pillow and he like stretched himself up and he was like, you're cramping? I was like, babe, it's not that big of a deal. I was like, you know, I'm just like always in pain. It's like he could feel something. Like, I don't know what it was. In every other scenario, you guys, every other night, he knew that I was going to be uncomfortable at some point or another. And like he would do his best to make sure I was as comfortable as possible and then go back to sleep. But this night he was like, are you sure? And he like sat up in bed. He was like, I don't know, babe. He was like, maybe we should check. And I was like, how are we going to check? I was like, I'm fine. My water hasn't even broken. And I know that like not everyone's water breaks, but like this was my way of being like, my love, like it's fine. There's no other signs that I'm going into labor. And besides, keep in mind, this was the 27th. Okay. This was the morning of the 27th. And I was like, he's not due until the 30th. And in my mind, I was like, everybody and their mama literally has been telling me that my baby is probably not going to come until his due date or even later, because this is my first child. So like, that's where I was mentally. So I'm looking over at David like, calm down. Like, we're at least 2-3 days away from the day. So like, it's fine. We start watching Netflix for a little bit longer. And then I had to pee again, because like, that's all your life is just peeing, right? It was the most terrible, like sharp shooting pain ever, like right in front, like where I was having my cramps, but like this cramp was like a terrible cramp from hell. Ooh, and it kind of took my breath away. You guys, that happened and David was like, oh, and he was like, you know what? I'm not waiting anymore. And he got up, went down the hall to go get my mom from the other room. And he goes in there and he was like, I don't know. I think she's going into labor and she won't listen to me. Like he was over there like snitching. And so my mom comes out of the room and she comes in and she's like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, you know, I'm kind of like bent over. I was like, mommy, it's just cramps. Like I'm just cramping. She was like, let me see. And so, you know, she comes behind me. She starts rubbing my back. And while she's rubbing my back, you know, I have my hands on the side of my bed and she's like rubbing my lower back. And all of a sudden she goes, Nikki, what's that? And I was like, what? And she goes, what is that? And she was pointing at the bed. So I look at what she's pointing at. You guys, it was like probably about this big. It was like this big and it was a wet spot on my bed. It looked like a little something got spilled on there. And I was like, oh. And I sat there and I was like, I don't know. All I could wear were nightgowns because that's all that fit me. So I had on this like long nightgown and my mom starts feeling around. You guys, you have no privacy. Don't nobody give you space. Don't nobody care. And she's like feeling all up near my booty and stuff. And she finds a wet spot behind me, like on my butt, right? Nikki, I think your water broke. And I was like, and I just sat there and I'm like arguing with my mom. I was like, really, mom, that's it? Like, that's my water breaking? I was like, no, I think I probably like spilled water or something. And my mom looked at me and she was like, look, I'm not going to fight with you, okay? I'm telling you, you are in labor right now. The baby's gonna be coming in a few hours. We need to get you packed and we need to get you to the hospital. You guys, my mom was like, I'm not playing with you no more. I know that your water just broke. Whether or not you feel like it's enough water for you is irrelevant. I'm telling you as your mother, you are going into labor. Fine. You want me to go to the hospital so I can prove you wrong? Fine. Mom looks at me, she was like, you're packed, right? Nikki, oh my God, I'm gonna kill you. And I was like, I'm sorry, mommy. Like, I thought that I had like a few more days. Like, I really wanted to get this video done. And like, I was just so tired. And my mom, she's just like so annoying. So she grabs a duffel bag and she's like, just pack all of your essentials, everything that you need for the hospital. I'm gonna go pack my bag. David, you pack your bag. And she's like, just like directing us, right? This time, Julian was with his grandparents. So we didn't have to get him up or get him ready or anything. Like, trying to pack and remember everything. We'll call it pregnancy brain, where like you're so forgetful. And like, it's just one of those things that comes along with pregnancy. So I was like trying to remember everything, and David's packing his stuff and I'm packing mine. And my mom was like, call your midwife, call your nurse, because I had my nurse that was going to meet me at the hospital whenever I did go into labor. My mom was really calm, and so was David. Or so I thought. I was very calm. I don't know if it was because I was in disbelief. I don't know what, but I really wasn't freaking out. I was just like, okay, I guess this might be happening. This might not. Like, we may be having a baby today. I don't know. Had this moment of like almost quiet where I was just like, okay, like, let's do this. So let's feed you before we get to the hospital, because after that, like, it's all a blur. And like, she knows me, I would have probably gone all day without eating, right? So she sits me down at the dining room table. Meanwhile, David is like buzzing back and forth, and he's like getting our bag, putting them in the Jeep, and he's like packing everything up, and he keeps like pacing back and forth. I'm sitting there, my mom's like, okay, what do you want to eat? And she's like pacing around my kitchen, and I'm like, you know, I don't know, I'm not really hungry. And she was like, Nikki, you need to eat. And so she was like, I'm gonna feed you some yogurt with some granola or whatever in the kitchen. And she's getting all this stuff, right? Just puts the bowl down, puts the bag of granola, she puts the big tub of yogurt. She goes, okay, here. I looked up at my mom. That was not like her. She basically just put all of the ingredients on the table. And like, usually my mom is my mom. Usually my mom will put the yogurt in the bowl and sprinkle some granola on it and give that to me. That was just not like her. And I like looked up at her, you guys, and my mom was like in a daze. It was at this moment that like I realized my mom is not as calm as she's trying to make it seem like she is. I was like, Mom, are you okay? And she was like, yeah, I'm fine. And I was like, okay, well, can I have a spoon? And she was like, yeah. So she grabbed me a spoon and she hands it to me, and she sat there and she looked and she goes, oh my God, I just put all of that stuff in front of you. And I didn't even, oh my God, what am I thinking? All just started busting out laughing. In a nutshell, my mom and David were like in a whole other world. They were not making sense. They were stumbling. They were dropping things. They were like, my mom's just putting all types of ingredients in front of me. And I was like, what is going on with you two? And they were just both so nervous and so excited that they weren't making sense. We wait about 2 hours, and then around 6 in the morning, we decided to start making our way over to the hospital.
Definitely not like what I expected from seeing movies.
You thought it was going to be like a race to the hospital?
Yeah. Go, babe. You gotta make it in front of her.
We get pulled over and we gotta tell the cop that you're actually going into labor.
Yeah. She's probably cussing you out right now because she's following us. Come on, man. All right, go. Nope. You're the one who stopped.
Why? Yeah, you have the right of way.
God. But I like the fact that I get to feel completely normal in between contractions. So that's pretty cool. You think I'm gonna have like a 26-hour labor?
I don't know. I mean, if he's already turned.
My mom said that was a big part. Is like them turning, but he's already turned.
I've never had a baby in me, so. You know what I mean?
David, honestly, today you think is the day that you can be sarcastic with me? Today.
Try to keep things normal for you, babe.
Oh, okay. If he's not born today and he's born like early hours of the morning tomorrow, my brother's gonna be pissed because that's our nephew's birthday. Or they're just gonna be one day apart. So they're gonna have to share birthday parties anyway. Ow!
Ooh, okay.
Ow! I was talking. Ugh, fuck. Oh, this sucks ass, man. It's every bit as painful as I imagined.
Is it?
Yeah. It really, truly is. Oh, fuck.
I had like a few minutes in between contractions that I could like breathe and stuff, but when those, oh, when they hit, girl, oh. We finally get to the hospital, we get checked in, and we actually have to go into a smaller room. I'm not gonna be giving birth in, but it's like the checkup room where like they check your blood pressure, they make sure that you're actually in active labor. Also needed to do a cervical exam to see how much my cervix had opened. So at this time, I was about 2 centimeters dilated. However, Ezra's head had already come through my cervix, so part of my cervix was like behind his head. She went in to go feel my cervix and she could literally feel his head, like he was right there. I'm gonna get very graphic in this, but all the ones that want to know, okay, so this is what it was. I'm not here to sugarcoat it. In order for her to feel it, she had to like get around his head to like feel my cervix, you guys. And so she was like pushing and pushing, and it was so painful. And like she's right there by Ezra's head and she's having to like get behind his head to feel, oh, and you guys, like it was so painful. And she kept like trying to like feel my cervix. She tried like 3 or 4 times and I was like, I can't take this. And every time she would do that, she was setting off a contraction. So I was like, like I was just in so much pain. It brings another nurse in, right? And neither one of these nurses I've ever met. Like I had like my midwife, I had my nurses that I was accustomed to, and these were just like the nurses that were on staff at that point. So I didn't know either one of them, and they're just all up in my business like that. She goes in, and sure enough, thank God, first time around, she was able to feel my cervix, and she was like, yeah. And that's when she told me that I was 2 centimeters dilated. Baby's already head down and everything. She was like, so you can take an epidural at any time. Whenever you feel ready, whenever you feel like you can't handle the pain anymore, you let us know and we can give it to you now, we can give it to you later, we can give it to you whatever. And I was like, oh, I was under the impression that I had to be like further along in labor in order for me to get an epidural. He told me that because of my circumstances and like the way that he was positioned already and everything, that I could take an epidural right then and there. I told her, no, let's wait. I can wait. I don't want to be numb throughout this entire experience. Like, it's a blessing that they're even giving me this option to have an epidural this early on in labor, but you know, your girl can hang. So I told her, no, not right now. I'll let you know when I need it later. I made the decision to wait, and I was like, you know, I can handle the contractions right now. I'm not trying to be numb throughout this entire experience. Like, I can hang, it's fine. Where I was having Ezra, they actually had like full suites where you were in the same room for your entire labor and delivery. Like, they don't move you around or anything, and it's a bigger room and you're just a lot more comfortable, and they have like the master bathroom and everything in there. So I lay there, you guys. I'm still going through contractions. Like, every few minutes my contractions are coming, and they're coming hard, and you can see on the monitor how intense your contractions are when they come, and like mine were just spiking, and I was like, oh, like it was just so painful. Of course, they told me that walking could help labor go easier and faster. I get up, they gave me like a walker. Other pregnant moms out there trying to walk too, and like we're all just in this together, girl. It was like a huge circle like this, and I got probably halfway around like the lap. I had already had 3 contractions, and hard contractions, okay? I didn't even make it the whole lap, okay? I wasn't dilating as quickly. My contractions were just really bad. Does that make sense? So like, for all the contractions I was having, I was dilating little by little by little. I need my epidural, please. nurses, bring it on, bring the needle, let's go. So they brought in a specialist that was going to be administering my epidural with a few nurses, and they had me do, if you've never had an epidural, this is what it's like, for me anyway. They had me sit on the edge of the bed, they had a pillow, they had me hug a pillow and like bend over, and they do stick the epidural right into your spine, and that's how they completely numb you from the waist down. I will be honest, it's scary and there are risks because it is numbing you from the waist down. If they hit the wrong nerve, girl, you could be paralyzed. Like, there's a risk for sure, but these specialists have been doing this for years. It's their area of expertise, and like, y'all, I was at a 10 pain wise, so I was like, just do it. A hot rod was being put into your spine. That's what it feels like, that fast, like from one moment to the next. And I tell you, no pain anymore, like no pain. So weird, because your body's still functioning and your contractions are still happening, you just can't feel them, but you can tell on the monitor because, you know, it like peaks every time you have a contraction. You guys, I had so many contractions after that, back to back to back to back, and your girl was just like, and one of my nurses hands me, like, it's like a wand and it has a button at the top, and it can administer medicine into like my spine for my epidural. So if I start feeling any pain, or if the medicine starts wearing off because they don't know how long you're going to be in labor, you could administer it yourself. I don't know why, I just didn't want this entire experience to happen and me not feel anything. I was very careful, I was very aware and conscious, and I did not want to push that button too many times. I should have rethought that a little bit. I was in labor a total of 19 hours, and they, you know, came in periodically to check my cervix. I was not dilating quickly at all. Like, I was dilating very, very, very slow. The nurse comes in, she checks my cervix, and she was like, all right, you are ready to push. Okay, like we're at the home stretch, my baby's about to be here, and at this point I didn't even think about it. I hadn't pushed that button in a while, and I was just like, that's fine. Get me all set up, you know, they put my feet in those stirrups and it's time to push. And so they tell me to like wrap my body, like my upper half, around my stomach and to push that way. And you don't realize how much effort it takes to push like that. So they have you push, come up for 30 seconds, and then push again, and then come up for 30 seconds and do it again, like that. It went from me feeling like just pressure. In the movies that I had seen, tell me not, it seems like the pushing lasts that long, right? The pushing lasted forever and a day, okay? I felt like I was pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing forever. And like, I mean forever. So like, I actually started pushing the normal way, and then they ended up putting bar, it goes over your bed, put sheets, they wrapped sheets around that bar, and then they had me hold on to the sheets, and like, while I was pushing, I was pulling myself up like that and using that bar. If I can find a picture of it, I'll leave it here. I ended up using that for a little bit to help me push because it's so tiring and like you're running out of breath. I'm sweating, you guys, and while I'm pushing, I'm realizing my epidural is wearing off, and it's wearing off fast, and I started feeling everything. Like, I could feel everything, and it was too late. Like, even if I would have pushed the button now, girl, like, I was still gonna feel it. What ended up helping me ultimately was just like, David was on my left, my mom was on my right, and they're each holding my legs, and I just had to like push down with my legs. I'm like this, and what helped me was me pushing this way, like against their arms, and that's what helped me push ultimately. And it's very hard for the people that are there with you, whether it's your nurses, your mom, your husband, your boyfriend, whoever. Like, that's what helped me. There was a moment where I was like pushing, and I could feel, you know, there's crowning that's happening, okay? I literally felt the crowning, and I felt Ezra's head coming out, and I was like in my moment of 30 seconds of rest, and I remember like sitting there, and I was like, oh my God, I can't take this, like this pain is just too bad. And I was like shaking my head, dying of thirst, and I'm like really hot. Anytime your body is experiencing pain, your body temperature goes up. So I'm like hot, I feel like I'm in a burning building. So my mom was next to me, and they gave her this cup of ice and water, right? So she was like trying to feed me ice, and I was like, Mom, you know, I need more. She handed me the straw, and I was like sipping on water between pushes, and that water, when I was drinking it, it just felt really good. And it was like, I felt like it was helping me not feel so hot, because I was just I was burning up. My mom keeps telling me, slow down, Mija, slow down, like don't drink too much. And I was like, hi Mom, like, and I just looked at her and I was like, please please don't tell me don't do that. Like, this is the only thing that's helping me. Just like, let me have it. So I drink more water and I keep pushing and I keep pushing. You guys, I was pushing so hard, so unbelievably hard, that all that water that I had drank and all that ice came right back up. And literally I was like pushing. I was in the middle of pushing and I start feeling like I'm gonna throw up. And so I told my mom, I'm gonna throw up, and she grabbed a bag and I just like leaned over and threw up. I threw up so much. Giving birth is so beautiful, don't get me wrong, but like it is very messy, and it's not Instagram worthy, it's not cute, it's not funny, it's not none of that. Like, this is reality, okay? But I remember looking over at David and I was like, I can't do this. Like, I'm so tired. Like, I can't do this. Gathered as much strength as I could, which wasn't much that I had left. Looked up at the ceiling and I closed my eyes and I just like took in the biggest breath, and then I pushed. I felt my son make his way into this world, and he came into this world and they immediately put him onto my chest. It was the most beautiful experience. All I could do was cry. Like, that was all I could do. I was just so thankful in that moment. All I could do was just thank God. That's all I could do. They had David cut the umbilical cord, which was beautiful, and the nurses come to take him to wash him off, right? So they take Ezra, and I'm just like in disbelief. But up until this point, I've just been so joyful and happy. The doctor that was like delivering Ezra, she's like standing there, you guys, and she looked freaked out. She just kept like shaking her head, and I was like, what is going on? They were like trying to keep me distracted, like the nurses and stuff, so I didn't know what was going on. And it's just so many people, it's just so much commotion, right? And I see this other doctor, and he's a man, and I've never seen him in my life, and they bring him in. He looks over at me and he's like, hey, everything's fine, don't worry, everything's okay. And I'm like looking at him like, what's going on? That doctor ends up sitting down, and you know, he does what he needs to do. Meanwhile, they bring me Ezra back, and you know, I'm holding him. It turns out that I had torn really badly and I began hemorrhaging, and nobody told me. They didn't want to tell me because they didn't want to freak me out. And that other doctor, way more experienced doctor, and he had to come in to sew me up and to do what he needed to do to make sure that I stopped bleeding so much. But I lost a considerable amount of blood. Oh, there was like this whole drama with the nurses and the doctor that was working on me originally, because like she just like freaked out. When I tell you that woman, my doctor that like delivered Ezra, she like freaked out. Whatever happened, I don't know. Like when I started hemorrhaging, she freaked out and like she could not get it together, and they had to bring that other doctor in. Y'all, I was pissed. I didn't like the way that she handled it. Nobody was talking to me, and I had to find that out later. But yeah, after you give birth, they want to make sure that you can release your bladder normally when you start like getting your feeling back. And if you can't, they'll put in a catheter. So I was like really nervous, but thank God I went pee first time around, no problems. Make you wear like those big hospital panties, give you like this big thing about this big, and it's like an ice pack, and they put that in there, and like, y'all, it's just like a whole thing. You don't even feel sexy. Like, I was in the hospital for a total of 3 days, and during that time, you know, I breastfed Ezra for the first time. I ended up breastfeeding him until his first appointment. He unfortunately wasn't able to digest my breast milk easily. He has a very, very sensitive digestive tract. He was very colicky shortly after birth, and then he was having like digestive issues. So with the recommendation of his pediatrician, we decided to switch him over to soy-based formula because that's all his little body can handle. So that is my labor and delivery story time. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your stories down below. I love hearing, you know, other people's labor and delivery stories because they're all different. Your story is going to be completely different. It's going to be yours, and that's what makes it unique and beautiful. The most amazing experience of your life. That is how my beautiful baby Ezra came into this world. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to give me a thumbs up to let me know. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel to be one of my beloved Glamazons. I would love to have you. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're not missing out on any new videos. I love you guys so, so much, and I will see you guys very soon in my next video. Peace out.